The story of Sheriff Buford Pusser has been told for decades as one of grit, courage, and frontier-style justice. He was the towering lawman of McNairy County, Tennessee, a man who supposedly took on organized crime and illegal moonshine with nothing more than a badge, a gun, and a 2x4. Hollywood even made him a legend, immortalizing his crusade in the movie Walking Tall. But beneath the myth, behind the headlines and the Hollywood glamour, lay a darker tale. One that has remained buried in secrecy and suspicion for nearly 60 years. It begins on a sweltering August night in 1967. Sheriff Buford Pusser and his wife, Pauline, were driving together down a lonely Tennessee road. According to Buford, it was supposed to be a routine disturbance call, nothing unusual. But as the sheriff later told it, their quiet night turned into a nightmare. Out of nowhere, he claimed, a passing car roared up beside them. Gunfire erupted. Bullets ripped through the air. The story spread like wildfire. The Buford's wife, Pauline, slumped over, fatally struck. Buford himself was hit in the face, grievously wounded, but somehow, miraculously, survived. Riff, who fought crime at every turn, had been ambushed, his beloved wife murdered in cold blood. Sympathy poured in. His legend grew. The case, built almost entirely on Buford's own words, was closed almost as quickly as it had opened. No one questioned it, not too loudly anyway. After all, who would dare question the word of Sheriff Buford Pusser, the larger-than-life hero? But whispers began almost immediately. Some people found the story hard to believe. The ambush felt too convenient, the crime scene too neat. Questions lingered, gnawing at the edges of the official tale. Why wasn't Pauline given a proper autopsy? Why did the investigation seem so rushed, so careless? Why did Buford's story shift in small, subtle ways every time he told it? For decades, those questions hung in the air, unanswered. Buford himself never faced trial, never endured an inquiry, never saw handcuffs. In 1974, he died in a fiery car crash at the age of 36. With his death, it seemed the secrets of that night in 1967 would be buried forever. The sheriff became a legend. His story was dramatized, celebrated, revered. Meanwhile, Pauline's death, a woman gunned down in her prime, faded quietly into the background. But time has a way of digging up truths we thought were lost. Nearly 60 years later, investigators reopened the case. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and a district attorney spent 3 years poring over evidence, re-examining witness accounts, even exhuming Pauline's body for a long-delayed autopsy. What they uncovered shocked even the most seasoned investigators. The results were chilling. They concluded that events did not occur as stated by Buford Pusser. In other words, the sheriff had lied. Evidence suggested Pauline was not killed inside the car during some spontaneous ambush, but outside the vehicle. Her body, they believe, was staged, placed back inside the car to fit the story Buford told. And the sheriff's own injury, that famous gunshot wound to his face, it wasn't the work of some faceless criminal at all. It was self-inflicted, the kind of wound that comes from pressing a gun directly against your own skin. The legend of Buford Pusser had been turned inside out. The man long celebrated as a hero of justice was now implicated as the killer of his own wife. Investigators said that if he were alive today, there would be enough evidence to indict him for murder. The announcement sent shockwaves across Tennessee. For decades, Buford's name had been synonymous with bravery and toughness. Tourists flocked to the Buford Pusser Home and Museum in Adamsville. Admirers called him a martyr, a man who gave everything in the fight against crime. Now, the myth was crumbling. A different story was emerging, not of a hero ambushed on a dark road, but of a husband who may have snapped, who may have killed the very woman who shared his home, his life, and his secrets. For Pauline's family, the news was bittersweet. Her brother, now elderly, said he wasn't entirely surprised. He'd seen cracks in their marriage, witnessed moments when things weren't as perfect as they seemed. But still, the confirmation carried weight. After nearly 60 years, he finally had the closure he had been denied all his life. Closure that his other sister, who passed away years ago, would never live to see. The investigators made one more remarkable decision: to release the entire case file, more than 1,000 pages of evidence, to the public. Anyone who wishes will be able to sift through the details, to read for themselves how the mighty sheriff's story unraveled. It will take time to digitize, but soon the secrets that lingered in the shadows for decades will be laid bare for all the world to see. But even with this conclusion, not all questions have been answered. The district attorney admitted the file doesn't provide a step-by-step account of how it all unfolded. Instead, it paints a grim picture, a story that doesn't add up, evidence that contradicts the sheriff's tale, and a pattern of deception that led to one haunting conclusion. And then there is the matter of Buford's legacy. Adamsville, the small town that has long celebrated his memory with a museum, now faces an uncomfortable truth. How do you honor a man who may have been both a lawman and a murderer? How do you reconcile the image of a hero with the evidence of a killer? The town's leaders are reviewing the findings, weighing whether his story should continue to be celebrated or finally laid to rest alongside the secrets he carried. For decades, Buford Pusser stood as a symbol of American justice, the man who dared to walk tall. But now, we are forced to ask, was the sheriff's legend nothing more than a mask? Was the real story not of a hero, but of a man who committed the ultimate betrayal, taking the life of his own wife and hiding it beneath a web of lies? The truth may never be fully known. Buford is gone. Pauline is gone. Most of the witnesses are gone. What remains are the echoes of a night in 1967 that changed everything. A night that shattered a family. A night that birthed a legend. And a night that decades later has been revealed as one of the greatest deceptions in Tennessee history. The story of Buford and Pauline Pusser is more than just a cold case. It's a reminder that legends are not always what they seem. Heroes can harbor dark secrets, and sometimes the most shocking truths are the ones that take a lifetime to uncover. Buford Pusser once walked tall, but in the end, his shadow was darker and far more dangerous than anyone ever dared to imagine.